Oh, why is it still so cold when I was wearing some shorts on? Or maybe it's because I keep on thinking of summer for some odd reason. So that probably explains why the fact that we are wearing some boxer shorts because of that one particular mission that we forgot about. Anyways, hey, what's up ladies and gentlemen, I'm Mario here once again and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my Let's Play of Super Mario Odyssey for the Nintendo Switch. So last time we did manage to collect every single of those power moons in the forms of Metro Kingdom / New Donk City. As well as from that though, we also managed to able to collect every single of those regional coins and able to actually gather the every single one of those regional coins, and that way we managed to able to get every single items in New Donk City item shop. So today for this episode potentially is the fact that we're about to be heading off to Snow Kingdom, and in fact the matter is though now is the fact that we can able to collect even more power moons to our disposal. And that way we can able to actually just well, hopefully we can able to complete this kingdom, and at the same time, we need to find the final 3 of those regional coins. So even then though, and much like always, I'll save the regional coins thing until for last, because, you know, that's as far as I can usually always can tell of exactly what I'm gonna do for the majority of the time. So even then though, before we do some more missions though, perhaps because of how the fact that I see Princess Peach right here, this kingdom is freezing, but at least it's nice and warm indoors. I wonder if the race warms it up. I wish I could join the races. They look positively thrilling. Yeah, at least to some degree, or at least in some agreement. We found a power moon buried in the snow. It's yours now. So yeah, I could definitely see why that Princess Peach managed to able to wear something a little bit more warmer throughout. So yeah, you know what? I'm thinking about the smell of the ocean. Maybe I should visit. In this case, the next hint that Peach actually gives us, and that was the fact that she's about to be going on to Seaside Kingdom. So that'll be up next though, but obviously we need to focusing on, you know, the Snow Kingdom first. So even then though, that takes care of the forms of the actual sword sleeves. So I think we should probably change now into something a little bit more warmer. So even then though, like for instance, for example, you know, the actual snow hood, as well as the forms of the snowsuit. So even then though, like a snow costume to be more exact. So because, you know, if we managed to able to actually wear something a little bit more appropriate or anything like that, like the actual, like, shorts and all that stuff, like you saw that for about a few seconds ago, naturally it's gonna make everything a little bit more chilly than ever. Whilst unlike the forms of how it does it in the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, where if you manage to wear something a little bit more almost half naked or something like that, just, you know, similar to this game. What happens is though is the fact that you will able to actually lose your health if you manage to able to wear something a little bit more chilly and cold. Whilst it's kind of like the same thing from here, but except the fact that you don't take damage every time you're able to wear something like some shorts, for instance, in this kingdom. Well, the only time you will get damage though is the fact that with this freezing water. So even then though, that makes it a little bit obvious for that little things itself, I suppose. But even then though, that we've already been to this place before, since during almost about a year ago. But then again, the reason why we're going back into this kingdom to begin with is because what else? Some more power moons to collect, as well as from that, you know, the final 3 regional coins to be found. So even then though, we'll investigate for that until later on though. So for now, we need to do something a little bit more puzzle heavy, such as like this section right here. So even then though, and basically we need to use that little Typhoon enemy, so that way we can able to actually take control of him, and then that way we need to solve this puzzle. So even then though, for this puzzle right here, it's very simple if you manage to get the hang of it though. So just like, you know, you need to sort out the actual, like, objects, as you can see right there, ranging between, from that particular point. And basically, you need to follow in the correct spawning color order, like, we're gonna have to place in the orange, stairs first, and then after that, though, we're able to actually save the green one for last, because, you know, I'm not sure if it's possible that you can able to actually reach it from up there, but ultimately, though, you do need to solve this problem, because if you do solve it, then the actual cage will bust open. So even then, now that way you can able to get yourselves another power moon, such as like blowing and sliding missions. So even then, Yeah, I think that takes care from that, though. So, once again, for this point, folks, I do apologize for the actual lack of dialogue for this point, folks, because of how the fact that, well, first of all, I was getting slightly tired. Well, not necessarily tired of all things, but it's just that, well, I couldn't even sleep well last night. So even then, because, well, first of all, it was quite raining all of a sudden for this point. And second of all, recently I did went to able to see Annie on the theater recently. Well, not the big screen version, but just more accurately, the old classic Annie. So even then, though, well, I've heard from several other critics out there, they're saying about the fact that Annie wasn't nearly as great as compared to the forms of how it does in Oliver was, but even then, I think it's just a little bit more of a coincidence for preferencing stuff anyway, so... Anyway though, so at least we did manage to got 3 power moons so far, and we now need to head back into the Lost Kingdom, because the reason why we are going back in there in the first place is because, you know, with that, you know that hint dodge that we've already did found from the likes of how it does it on that particular town? Well, that's the way we need to able to get back into, and that's this particular kingdom itself. And because of this though, we need to find something that's usually kind of like familiar, and that was on that particular tree stump. And if you've done so already, then the power moon itself will be yours. So found with Snow Kingdom art. But then again, it's just only for like 1 power moon for this kingdom so far. Well, at least it's going back into this particular kingdom itself. So, at least even then, no, that makes it a little bit obvious. So, anywho though, aside from that particular stuff though, one thing I should probably mention about something is the fact that recently that Cap King 74, in this case Stuart, mind you, he's recently going back into The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild on his own time. In fact, this might actually be his 4th time playing the game, which, for me though, honestly I'd never played that much of it though, because unlike in this game in particular, where I had much more fun with, for Zelda Breath of the Wild though, again, I just had a little bit of a struggle when it comes to like how the mechanics work, and especially noticeable with, you know, the controls sometimes, because you have to like, if you're really trying to, you know, crouch for Link anyway, and you need to able to press down the analog stick, so even then, that's the only thing I'm sort of having a struggle with it, but, it's not too bad when you get the hang of it though, but it's just for my little, confrontations, I suppose. So even then though, we need to go to, here, back to Mushroom Kingdom, because you know with that particular picture frame that we've already, got into, which actually leads us back into the actual Snow Kingdom. Because of this though, normally you might as well able to do this on the speedrun tactic, but honestly it's very impossible to do that. So even then though, the secret path to Shivera. So even then though, that way we managed to able to got that. And we've only got about like 2 more power moons left from now on, unless if we're able to actually activate that particular moon rock first. Then if every once in a while though, then we should able to gather even more power moons to our disposal. So naturally speaking, there's not much else to really say about this for the time's sake. So even then though, that way we could able to actually see what's up ahead. So I get a feeling we should probably go ahead and deal with the Koopa free running mini game right around here. So at least even then I might as well do that. So yeah, there's not much else to really say about this at this point. Although there's actually one last mission before you're able to actually get into the you know, the Moon Power Rock type of missions that we were able to actually go through, and that was the fact that with the Hat and Seek kind of missions. Well, I figure I might actually do that later on though, because for now, we need to take care of the forms of the outside portion of specifically for Snow Kingdom, and then after we're done with all that, then we can able to actually focusing on the inside of the actual town itself. So even then though, let's get into the forms of, you know, the Koopa free running Snow Kingdom regular cup first. So even though, as you can see right there, we actually got well, we actually come across into a snowstorm of any sort, and we need to figure out our way to able to actually get all the way up to the actual goal. But the fact of the matter is, though, when you get the hang of it, though, especially if you recognize the actual level environments like this, even though sometimes the actual fog itself will able to actually, like, covers up everything for this point, but if you manage to pull off a nice little shortcut, as you can see right there, then you would able to actually become a truly glorious champion on that particular cup. But even then though, again, we need to do that twice until we're never able to completely done with this kinds of stuff. In fact, the matter is though, is the fact that we're pretty much almost towards the end of specifically for Koopa free running races. Because of this though, you know, we pretty much almost nearly towards the end of the game at this point now, because of how the fact that, well, you remember in the Forms of In Tuesday that we recently finished up with, you know, Metro Kingdom, and now we're on to the Snow Kingdom now, and after we're done with all that, well, after that, we can able to move on to the Seaside Kingdom, which should be the next kingdom after this, though. In fact, I'll do Seaside Kingdom during this weekend, though. So naturally, we can able to actually get these missions done. So, yeah, that's as far as I can gather. So, and by the way, you know with that little, particular moon rock that we've already activated? Well, that actually also opens up, not only for the sake of, like, some more missions down the road, but it's also the fact that they actually did just lead us to a different race going on around here. Because, well, generally we've already done the forms of the first race twice in the forms of the first visit onto the, you know, the Snow Kingdom. But now we need to able to actually, go into the different course. But before we do that, actually, we'll go ahead and just, you know, trying to figure out some more of those power moons we need to able to grab those. Such as, like, the Wind's Chilly Cavern we need to go to first. So, like, you know, to be expected, we got a whole bunch of typhoons around here ever since in Super Mario 3D World. And there's that little particular power moon just beyond here. But before we grab that, we need to wait for a moment just in case we don't get blown off by a typhoon. And that way we can able to actually get ourselves our next power moon, the Icy Jump Challenge. So, whoa, that was really close. I almost gonna get blown off and then just somehow almost got instant death by that toxic water around here, or the poisonous water. So at least even then now, I'm perfectly safe as it is. So, yeah, not much anything else to be said, all things considered. In fact, let me double check what's in here. In fact, it contains just only coins. So, not much, but at least it's super helpful though, if you really want to go after like any single costumes, or especially notable for like buy up to like 10 power moons this time around though. But even then, we're not gonna get into specific details too much about it, but even then, let's just see if we can able to double check it and it's beyond here. In fact, the matter is though, is the fact that, yeah, we'll save that for later, because even then, we'll, come back into it at any point, so at least even then, I'm also able to do that. And, I think I should probably go onto this particular room over there, because, as far as for the next mission we need to go for, and that was the fact that, you know, with stacking up these Goombas from earlier ago that we've already technically done, now we need to do it again, but this time around though, we need to stack up to like 10 Goombas, and then if we're able to do that, then we would find out there's actually a 10 button around here. So even then though, you know, it's kind of like until, well, I'm not going to explain things too much detail specifically about it, because whenever we get to like, revisiting back to Bowser's Kingdom and stuff like that, well, we would mention more details on that specific note. So, yeah, as far as I can comfort for that part. So even then, though, that hopefully we can able to actually just get along with this kinds of stuff like this. So, and always we need to watch out for these little falling obstacles, or these falling icicles from the ceiling. That's as far as I meant to say for this point. And we'll go ahead and, you know, just traverse through here. And because of this, though, there's going to be some more Goombas around on the other side. So, you know, you get the idea for that little solution for this point right here, folks. In fact, the matter is, though, is the fact that, you know... Anyway, so... Alright, so let's go ahead and wait and hop onto these little icicles. And we need to stack up 3 more of those Goombas. And after we've done so already... then there's actually a 10 button, which actually represents the Goomba switch. And if you do so already, the power moon actually appears. So, yeah, it's not much else, anything else to be said in things, all things considered, but I stacked up Ice Climb. And let's do this fun trick. Nicely done. Defeating all sorts of Goombas all in one combo. So anyways, let's go back into the Odyssey quickly, because I assumed to realize there's actually another power moon I need to purposely trying to grab, and that was the fact that it was actually way up above the Odyssey itself. So I think we should probably just go ahead and grab that for just a moment. In fact, there was actually one just about right here. So simply you have to do a little simple long jump, and that's all you have to really do. So shining on high. So at least even then, that makes it a little bit obvious for that point. Now I believe the next objective we're going to have to like get into, and that was the fact that with do you remember, buddy, forms of, in one of those missions in Lake Kingdom, where basically we need to summon the actual, like, or deliver, rather, the forms of that particular Cheep Cheep enemy. Or actually, I'll get into more details onto that later, because I think it's about time to able to actually deal with the Master Class right now in the Snow Kingdom, where basically we're doing exactly the same thing, except the fact that, well, the Golden Koopa Trooper is going to be a lot tougher to beat. But, as I mentioned to you before, the shortcut always helps, because if you manage to figure out where the actual locations are, but then again, if you messed up at least once or twice, then there's also a retry button if you really want to, like, pause the game and then just simply select retry. That's all you really have to do for this point. So then again, you don't have to worry things too much about it, because either way though, you can able to retry as many times you want. So, but anyways, like before, we need to get to the finish, and booyah, we actually completely done with the Koopa free running event. Even though sadly we didn't beat the new record though, but that's okay, because, well, I'm pretty sure I'm pretty much unbeatable for the most part when it comes to, like, you know, the Koopa free running challenges and all that stuff. So even then though, the Snow Kingdom Master Cup. So even then though, that takes care of that. And quite frankly though, is the fact that we've only got about 15 missions left when it comes to the forms of the Snow Kingdom itself. So even then though, well, the majority of them will be in the outside portion, whilst most of the time there's going to be some of those, you know, some of these power moons takes place in the inside of town. So even then though, like, for instance, I'm actually going to be focusing on the outside portion of the Snow Kingdom first, and, you know, we'll save the inside part of the town until for later. And I do apologize with the actual, like, the capturing footage is being jinxed up again, because I know for the fact that it happens in rare occasions where it does that sometimes, but in some games, like, for instance, the actual, like, Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric, for example, that it almost just seems to lag a little bit. But anyway, so let's hit into this familiar room once again, but basically we're doing exactly the same objective, as you can see, that we need to fill up the actual triangle shape, but the biggest difference is now that we need to able to get up to, like, as always, 90 points. So, you know, think of like you've already done this before since the Sand Kingdom, but now with ice physics. So even though that again, you need to reach up to 90 points. And speaking of such, we got 100. Jeez, on the first attempt too. So that's pretty interesting. So even more walking on ice. Yes, indeed. Because, you know, we're walking on ice for the majority of the time on this particular mission objective, if you couldn't tell for this point. So let's head out and, you know, just do some more missions here and there. So even then, let's see what's up next. So I believe, yeah, we do need to able to actually use the Snow Cheep Cheep, so that we need to able to deliver him to the forms of that particular fish, you know, water ball of any sort, somewhere around up there, which, by the way, you need to hurry that up though, because if you do not make it there in time when you're able to actually transform into the forms of the Snow Cheep Cheep, then it'll able to actually kill off the Cheep Cheep instantly, because, you know, Cheep Cheeps doesn't like air, because, well, for some odd reason is the fact that if you're able to actually, like, do like a Kaizo level from the likes of the Super Mario Maker 1 and 2, that way you can able to make the Cheep Cheeps somewhat a little bit harmful from the actual air. But I don't know if to be more precise on that part, because, well, I know it's been quite a few months since actually coming back into this though, and as I mentioned it to you before, I would able to actually get back into this at some point in this weekend, and at some point next week as well, specifically for some uploading schedules between Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, because after that, well, I'm pretty sure enough that we'll let Duffy take a break on, specifically on Super Mario Galaxy 2, whenever he just managed able to come back into that game and doing at some point in September, but he's only got the last few portions of the actual first half of the game yet, so even then we'll have to wait for that for a while, and then basically we can able to actually just you know, hit back to this though, so that way we can able to, you know, hopefully finish up with this Let's Play. So even then though, well, around that time until at the very end of the year though, because I know for the fact that we've held up for about, you know, the main story for about during 2018, and then in 2019 we are doing some extra missions and stuff like that. So, an additional content here and there as well, no, don't forget. So, yeah, as far as I can gather, so even then, basically in this part right there, we need to able to use the Scarecrow to able to actually hold off of Cappy around here. So even then, we need to do some tricky platforming here and there with the actual Flower Road. But of course, we can never forget about that Power Moon right there. So don't forget about that. And basically we need to dodge the insane amount of those bonsai bills, kind of think about it, so that we can able to actually avoid those without even getting like a knockback or anything like that. But honestly, it's not too bad though, as long as you're able to be very careful of those bonsai bills is trying to able to homie on you. So running the flower path, well, I don't know exactly how to record that per se, but even then, no, because, well, it's kind of hard to see the actual text when it's like all in white and stuff, which is pretty easy to see on during the likes of in the later kingdoms and all that stuff, most notably with Bowser's Kingdom as well as Luncheon Kingdom, and heck, even with the forms of Seaside Kingdom, which sure enough though, it maybe seems pretty easy at some point or another. So anyways, the next mission we need to hit into is to go onto the underwater, and it's important that we need to use the Snow Cheep Cheep, because if you manage to swim without it, then basically you're able to actually just freeze to death. So keep that in mind, it's super helpful, and you should be able to deal with it no problem. So anyway though, what's next on the list, shall we? I believe next up we need to hit into is the fact that we need to go over somewhere around here, and basically in this particular next mission that we're about to be hit into is the fact that you notice there's actually a P-switch down there, and as soon as we actually able to actually activate it, well, there's another power moon right here. But keep that in mind, in the first half you need to use the Snow Cheep Cheep for the second time, or the third time actually, and then if you manage to hop it off and just do the Cappy long jump, and you should able to make your way there no problem. So Snow Kingdom Timer Challenge 3. And I think that takes care of the timer challenges in this kingdom though, until like, you know, Seaside Kingdom as well as Luncheon Kingdom, and even with the Moon Kingdom, and especially noticeable with the Mushroom Kingdom, and also not to mention the Seaside Kingdom. Well, I did say the Seaside Kingdom, but aside from Luncheon Kingdom and Bowser's Kingdom and the Moon Kingdom and the Mushroom Kingdom, seriously, we got about like, I would say almost about 5 kingdoms to go until whenever we're able to actually jump into the next kingdom, which appears to be the Dark Side, which should be up next after we're able to actually completely done with you know, any kind of missions from the well, the previous kingdoms, I should say, so that way we could able to actually deal with all that. And aside from the darker side, I think I should probably save the darker side for last, because, you know, since this is actually going to be like some sort of a grand finale thing, I suppose. Well, not exactly a grand finale just yet though, because apart from the fact that there's going to be some, you know, extra missions to go off, like for instance, for example, for I noticed that this game actually now has a virtual reality thing that's been happening right now, so at least I can able to actually tackle for that until after the Luigi's balloon thing is about to be able to be like specifically happening for this Let's Play. So even though that would able to make it happen. So anyways, so let's get into this cave around here, so that way we could able to go for the next race competition. So even though that I think this is going to take place in a different course as opposed to the same course. So at least it's somewhat a little bit different for a change, but even then we'll talk to the actual guy right here, which I don't know exactly what it's called. I have to be honest with you for this point, guys, because, wow, then again, it's been about, you know, almost 5 months since I've actually managed to come back into this game at long last. So, anyway, so Iceburn Circuit, that's what the actual course is named. So, and just like the ones how it does it on the first race, or specifically rather, the first 2 races, is the fact that you need to do this twice to able to actually completely done with the actual, missions like this first. Well, usually for the first race on that particular circuit is actually not too bad though, but in the second attempt it will be a lot trickier and difficult as you proceed. So because of this, not every now and then they now manage to able to pull up with the forms of so many of those little slanted hills until you're able to actually do like a well-timing bounce or what have you. So even then though, if you manage to pull that off, then you should be able to actually get your momentum going. So yeah, definitely a little bit trickier than the forms of how it does it on the first track though, because even though that it might actually give you a lot of practice if you manage to memorize it. But then again, much like the forms of how it does it on the Koopa free running events, is that you can able to actually retry those at any point. So there's no need for like, you know, just getting kicked out or anything like that. So even though there's a retry option if you manage to pause the game and stuff. So at least even though you got that feature at least. So Anywho though, aside from everything else though, recently I did manage to recently watch through 15 episodes so far in My Little Pony Friendship is Magic Season 9 so far. And I'm almost getting quite close towards the end for this point, and we've already got into, we'll say for this weekend, we are gonna get ourselves episode 16, which is a trivia problem, which is basically some sort of a quiz episode. So at least even then, I'm pretty hyped about that actually. And after that though, well, they haven't shown us the actual, the grand finale of the show, as well as the forms of Season 9 until just yet though, because I know it's a bit too early to able to show that off, but even then though, because they don't want to put up some, massive spoilers to that, to any other territories out there, because I still even remember about the fact that, we actually got ourselves spoiled heavy when it comes to, like, you know, with the forms of Season 8 finale, which appears to be School Rares Part 1 and 2, spoiler warning for those who have not seen that episode yet. The fact of the matter is though is that the different country of a different region managed to able to got these two episodes very early compared to the forms of how it does in the English versions of that specific episodes that we've got, which is kind of odd if you ever think about it, but even then though, because of how the fact that, well, I understand for certain regions managed able to got these episodes in certain shows a little bit early than our country, but either way though, it's just a little bit of a coincidence anyway. So anyway though, and as you can see right here, we're now going to be racing onto this particular track for the second and the final time we're going to be able to do in this particular race event, because, well, obviously we now need to able to actually just, you know, get to the S-Class at this point, so at least even then though, the same old stuff as you remember, but this time around though, these opponents are going to be a lot more tougher than the forms of how it does it on the first attempt, so at least even then though, but then again, if you manage to able to try to time your bouncing maneuvering at some point or another, especially with that particular momentum you have to pull off, well, it might actually give you some practice if you manage to try to pull it off. So at least even then though, that, well, if you manage to figure it out though, especially noticeable if you're trying to maneuver in the actual some quicker sharp turns or anything like that, it's hard to explain about this particular stuff sometimes because, well, I think I've already mentioned about some other stuff in during the likes of in the first time we've ever experienced the Snow Kingdom as a result. So at least even then though, we could expect it for that. So anyway though, so yeah, once again for this point folks, I do apologize with the actual awkward pauses going on around here with specifically for commentary wise, because, well, I really seriously don't want to jinx my microphone at this point, because, well, specifically our current microphone we are still currently using, and that was the fact that because if I managed to pull it a little bit further away to the actual laptop itself, or especially noticeable with something else entirely, then it will able to actually lose some of my voice commentary, and that's about it when it comes to that particular stimulation. As well as from that though, it will able to actually get my voice get a little bit fuzzy at some form or another. But anyways, come on, sweet victory on the first attempt too. Some people seem to think about the fact that this might actually be one of the trickiest power moves to get, but if you manage to get the actual pattern going, even if you really want to do like precise bouncing timing aspects, then you would able to actually accomplish that no problem. So even then though, I think that pretty much takes care of that particular area. So even then though, let's get out of here, and we can now able to actually do some more missions in the I would say the majority of the last few missions are going to be in the inside portion of that specific area for this point right about now. Although before we do that actually, there might be something missing that's usually throughout it though, like for instance, if I want to able to actually I might as well able to save that for later though, because, well, first of all I just need to able to take care of the some of those secret missions first though. So even then though, I believe first of all we need to get into the waiting room, I believe, until whenever we manage to stumble across the actual stack of boxes or crates. So naturally we've already got about like 5 of those power moons left now, and then once we gather all 5 of these power moons left, then we are surely be good to go with the actual Snow Kingdom, as well as you know, the final 3 of those regional coins, which again, I'll save those and during the later time. But from now on though, well, after we're able to completely done with every single missions in, you know, the entire kingdom first. So, let's go and just, you know, explore from here, and, you know, just trying to do the usual stuff. So, Anyway though, although before we do that actually, there was actually that one mission I was going to be on about, and that was this part. So even then though, that way we did manage to found one of the hats and all that stuff, and we did manage to found him. So, Hat and Seek in the Snow, which appears to be the name of the mission itself. So even then though, I think that takes care of from here. So now let's go ahead and explore through the waiting room, and that way we can able to actually discover if we manage to able to come across into this particular point right here. And because of this though, if you get to here, that's where the actual stack of boxes was actually located. So even then though, well, it kind of reminds me of almost related to that one particular missions, or two of those missions actually, in Super Mario Sunshine, where basically, in that game, you also managed to able to destroy certain crates or anything like that. But this time around though, unlike in Super Mario Sunshine, that you normally just have to use the ground pounds in order to actually just manage to get rid of the box crates. You can still able to actually use the ground pounds to able to get rid of these box crates and all that stuff, but you can also just manage to able to do not one, but two of one of your attacks you'll dispose of for your moveset, like either the ground pound or the actual Cappy himself. So, anyways, once you do smash all, well, the crates usually at the very top right around here, which appears to be forgotten in the holding room. So even then though, that way we did manage able to gather that. And there's also another mission which I somehow accidentally ignored, which is by the fact that we need to go outside of the actual Snow Kingdom at first. And then that way we need to get onto the actual ice structure. And then basically we need to climb all the way up to the top, and if we manage to spot the actual shiny spots on that specific ice structure, then we would find out that there's going to be, well, to be expected, another power moon. So even then though, I must admit that I totally forgot about that. So it popped out of the ice. So yeah, the name of the mission as far as you might as well notice. And we've already got about 2 more power moons to go, and that will able to actually take place in the inside of the actual town itself. So even then though, we can able to do just as that. And hopefully though, we can able to actually just to see if how we can able to actually like gather the final of the 3 of those regional coins. So hopefully we can able to do justice. So, although that again, this wasn't exactly the final time we're going to be seeing this kingdom though, because again, whenever we get to some other extras or anything like that, specifically for Luigi's balloon thing until later on though, for the sake of the actual let's play of the game, then you know, you probably get the idea of how this is going. So even then I will accept that. So even then I will use the fire propeller thing, and sure enough we can able to go over here, and we should find out there's actually this little that little bit of a lump onto that particular ice. I'm not exactly sure of how that makes it any sense to most people, but either way though, we actually got that power moon from, you know, squishing that particular little lumpy thing on the actual ice itself. So even then though, and we need to head back onto here and go onto the door on the right, on the first door of the right section. And because of this though, we've only got the final power moon left in the forms of the Snow Kingdom. And after we're done with that, then that pretty much takes care of the forms of the Snow Kingdom as far as power moons collecting is concerned. So even then though, that way we can able to get that thing job. So anyways though, let's go ahead and, you know, trying to able to actually ground pound that glowing spot. And we got all the power moons in the Snow Kingdom. So that takes care of that. And I think fundamentally though, I think we pretty much gathered about, let's just say 25 of those power moons. Because, well, we've already gathered about 3 of them from the very beginning, plus another one from the likes of the Lost Kingdom. And now we actually gathered about 21 of those power moons. So that makes a grand total of 25 of them. So, yeah, that's a ridiculous amount for sure. But even then though, that's just besides the point right there. So I'll meet you guys back with the regional coins just like before. Okay, I soon just found out when it comes to the forms of the regional coins locations, I somehow completely ignored that, because, well, you know, with the forms of the left doors, specifically the ones on the second left door, and because of this though, you know, with that particular area that we've already gathered the actual power moon from the very beginning, well, basically, I just attempted able to ignore the actual bottomless pit or something like that, because at first so far it's actually a bottomless pit right down there, like almost near to where the power moon is. Well, it turns out there is something down there, which appears to be, I checked on the forms of the actual, like, some screenshots or screenshots or anything like that, and it turns out, yeah, there are going to be some of those regional coins from down Well, specifically if you go on to this point right here, and if you manage to keep on moving forward a little, and sure enough, I seem to spotted them just about right down there, so there we go. And we actually gathered about all 50 of those regional coins in a Snow Kingdom, so even then though, we are basically 100% done with the actual Snow Kingdom. So even then though, not too bad, not too shabby either. It doesn't take nearly as long as New Donk City slash Metro Kingdom, but even then though, it might be still pretty much a busy work if you manage to able to like hunt for those you know, for the sake of power moons as well as these regional coins from here. So even then though, we are basically done. But before we're able to completely done with this though, we need to able to get off one of those souvenirs in, you know, specifically these little rag dolls or anything like that, which is kind of cool, kind of thing about it. And before we leave, however, though, we'll go ahead and purchase something a little bit more costume-based. So, obviously, we can't able to actually afford those costumes, though, because we haven't got that much coins to able to actually purchase those. But, on the other hand, though, we can able to purchase the actual Famicom costumes of any sorts. Well, specifically for, I would say by the forms of the mechanic outfit, which appears to be a little bit more obvious, because, you know, if you, like, back in the day, they always attempt to have, like, some of these, it's hard to explain about these kinds of stuff like this sometimes, because I know for the fact that it's been such a quite a while since I, you know, managed to go back into this game, though, so, and also you got these familiar costumes, which I don't think I can afford that, other than, you know, that particular 8-bit hat right here, which is actually roughly the exact same price as the likes of how it does it on the skeleton outfit, kind of thing about it. Which is kind of odd, but even then though, that, I'm very curious about the fact that with the actual center outfit, which, I'm also able to actually go after that on my own time off screen. So even then though, for the sake of time for Christmas or something, which even then though, we'll, find things more details onto that though, but for now, we'll leave the Snow Kingdom. So even then though, yeah, I guess next up, as I said before, it will be Seaside Kingdom, of course. So even then, that'll be the next kingdom we need to, you know, gather every single items and stuff, like, you know, the usual power moons, as well as the forms of some of those regional coins from here. So, and surprisingly enough, though, I don't think I've actually gathered as much of the forms of those regional coins, as well as some power moons on this particular kingdom, sadly, just because, well, I just want to able to actually move on to this, this delicious kingdom, which appears to be, you know, Luncheon Kingdom and such. So here's another moon rock around here, so even then we're able to actually just consider this a main factor, and looks like I'm sweating right now, so I think it's a better time for able to actually change the actual different costumes. So even then let's see what costumes do we able to have. So even then I think we should probably go for, no matter what though, I think I should probably go for this costume at this point in time, which is the resort outfit for now on, just to make it a little bit more summery and such. So, but even then, let's go ahead and just get out of the actual Odyssey itself, and we'll end things off here. So join me next time on Let's Play Super Mario Odyssey for the Nintendo Switch. Is the fact that we're going to be exploring through the continuation of the Seaside Kingdom, and able to gather some more of those regional coins, as well as the actual power moons themselves, like the usual. So even then though, see you guys next time. Later, fellas.